Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Joining us on the Newsmaker line is a gentleman who I am delighted to have on the show. He's one of the final members of the flock that I've not had on yet. He is Ron Reese. Are you with me, sir?
I am.
It's such a pleasure to have you. And like I said to you off air, this was an unconventional way to come across getting you on the show. I contacted basically a charity that you were working with, and through that, a whole chain of events, and here we are. So I'm glad we got it happening, and thank you for agreeing to do this with me.
One way or the other, right?
However gets you here. So let's start out with the easy stuff. What have you been up to lately for those who haven't been keeping up with your world?
You know what? I got out of wrestling, I want to say, in 2000, and just went back to being a normal human being, right? Like, got a job, did the 9 to 5, had a kid, and just, did the normal thing, 9 to 5.
That's beautiful. I do have some questions about things you did later on after 2000, but let's start with the earliest stuff. You trained under Big John Studd, who is the one guy, as a guy who's done this interview thing for 23 years, who nobody says a bad word about. Nobody says a bad word about Big John Studd. What was it like training under such a well-known figure?
It was great. Not really being sort of naive to the wrestling world. It was very odd to get into it with such a guy that had such a standing in the wrestling world. And just knowing that, wherever he went, people, noticed him. And you never really think about it. Wrestling was huge back in the day, but not that huge as it is now. But, I mean, everyone recognized him everywhere they went. It was like, hey, that's Big John Studd. So it was weird. It was cool. Very cool. And he, unfortunately, did not live very much longer after he trained you. He was passed away in 1995. Was he, sick at the time of training you, or was he still 100% healthy? I think he had a little bout of cancer earlier, and then he beat it, and then he, once we started training, he came back with a vengeance. And I want to say it was within 6 months of him being diagnosed that he died from cancer.
That's yeah, like I said, there's one guy. If there's one guy that nobody has anything negative to say about, it's always been Big John Studd. So that's cool. That's cool that he was a big part of your career.
We were talking about this the other day. Is a lot of people don't remember, but when King Kong Bundy and King Kong Bundy and Big John Studd cut Andre the Giant's hair, that was earth-shattering. Yep.
And they carried around in the WWF duffel bag. Bobby Heenan used to like to tell the story. He carried it around so long that the hair went gray.
Hey, it still works though, right? People still got people fired up.
Absolutely. So
I always wanted to know: did Andre the Giant just go get a haircut after that, or was he just okay?
Well, he had the awkward afro before that. Everybody remembers him in the black singlet and the short hair, but for years he had the awkward afro, and that's it was probably time to clip it anyway.
I mean, he had the blue trunks and the blue shoes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The big fro, right?
Absolutely. So then you went to...
Do you think you got paid to do that, or do you think that was just hey, part of the deal, and you'll get paid in future sellouts?
If it's Andre, my guess is he probably didn't do nothing for nothing. He probably got something out front out of that. But I don't know. I've never heard for sure on that.
What do you think they were making a week back then?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I mean, he was working multiple territories still. Even though he was working for WWE, he would still make shots for other companies if he was we'll give you a week with Andre or something like that. So he'd make other companies. I got to think that in today's money, he was pulling down over $1 million a year.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Yeah, I got to think that.
Because I remember I talked to Paul Orndorff, and he was telling me that when he was doing the stuff with Hulk Hogan, he was making $20,000 a week cash.
Oh wow, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. Yeah, they were doing that. Was 5 or 7 shows a week, 8 shows a week, 2 on Saturday.
Yeah, that's incredible. They were working. I mean, they were earning it because they were working. You know,
yeah.
more than. And we talked about how popular it is today. But if you think about it, those guys were working sometimes 2 shows on the weekends, 2 shows in different cities on the weekends. They'd do an afternoon show and do an evening show somewhere else. So they were definitely earning it, and paying the price physically for it too. But
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people don't take that into consideration when they think about wrestling. Is like just the punishment on your body of having to drive around and get in and out of cars and different hotels and different beds and all that stuff is it's taxing on the body.
I believe it. And unfortunately, I never did it. I probably should have, because I would have loved to have been a wrestler, but I've done as close as you could do with ever actually having to take a bump. So that works out well for me, I guess. So you then went to WCW, and what was the...
So the idea was that John and I were going to be the Giant Machines.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So they were going to bring back in Big John Studd.
Yeah, well, yeah. Our idea was we had met with Eric Bischoff and sort of just gone over, hey, we have this idea, and he was like, hey, if you can put it together, I'm interested. So we worked to get it together, and it just never panned out.
Oh boy. Well, I did not know that. I didn't know that Big John Studd was ever supposed to be part of the. So when they did debut you. They debuted you as the Yeti. And now I remember watching that Nitro, and they had the ice there for it. And by the time...
It was a Thunder.
Was it a Thunder for you?
It was a Thunder, yes.
So when they had the ice melt, it melted just in time for it to go off the air, so we really didn't get a chance to see you.
No, but they exploded and blew it up, which scared the shit out of me.
Well, I was going to ask you, what was the experience like, being in that and having to come out of that and be part of it, only for them to pretty much miss the shot because it went off the air as soon as you did?
Yes. Well, the best part about it was Paul Orndorff was like the agent handling me that night. He's got me in there, and he's got me all wrapped up, and it wasn't toilet paper, but it was like gauze and stuff, and I can barely see. He's like, all right, just stand here. And then he's like, hey, when the explosions go, break out of the ice. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh, and if you catch on fire, just like fall down and roll, and we'll fire extinguish you. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, what the? Where did this come in? It's all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. It's like, whoa, way more than I thought was going to be coming out.
Yeah, but you didn't catch on fire. That's the good news.
I did not. No. That would have been even better for the gimmick, right? If I caught on fire.
I don't know. I don't know if the Yeti's debut, rolling around on fire would have worked as well. I don't know. But then you made your in-ring appearance where we did get to see you when you came out and attacked Hulk Hogan as part of Halloween Havoc. Now, that Halloween Havoc is often maligned because they did the monster truck battle where Hogan supposedly threw the giant off the building and he came back from the dead, and then you came out. It was kind of a crazy sequence of events. And then you being bigger
absolutely
than Paul White. You did what was...
Wait a second. Now, I am taller than Paul White, but there is no way that I am bigger or and considered a giant than Paul White. That man is absolutely huge for 6'11", 7 feet that he is.
Yes.
His back is the size of a piano. His hands are the size of watermelons. I mean, he's just a huge individual. So if you want to go by height, yes, I am taller, but as a giant, I definitely think Paul White is the champion.
I agree. And
if not, it would be like Manute Bol would be the greatest giant, right?
Yeah, how tall was he? 7'8" or something like that? He was really big.
He's huge, or giant, or very, very tall, but very, very skinny.
That's right. He had the basketball build, which
yeah.
So that was a heck of a way to make a debut, and it was kind of big, but they never really capitalized on it, especially with you. Did you kind of feel like they left you in the dust a little bit because your character was involved with Hulk Hogan in the main event and then kind of left out after that?
I just think it was my debut was so bad that they were just like, look, we can't put this back on TV.
What was bad about it? The ice melting,
the
or
dry humping, and then the whole deal of the Yeti being a mummy, and there's so many questions going on there, right?
Well, I was going to ask you about that.
Just
that's
bad all the way around.
That's kind of become like an online meme. The Halloween Havoc hump.
Absolutely, yes.
What do you make of that? That people have made a meme of it.
I think it's great.
Keeps
if it wasn't a meme, we wouldn't be having this conversation, would we?
No, that's true. So you mentioned the Super Giant Machines and the Super Giant Ninja. You at World War III, you came out introduced as the Yeti, but you were wearing ninja clothes, and it kind of made everybody kind of go, huh? What was going on there? Did they not have a plan to change your name before you were announced for that?
So I believe, and I'm pretty sure that this is real, but everyone questions me about it, that Giant Gonzalez was supposed to be the Yeti. Mm-hmm. And then he came in town, he did all the stuff. He went down to the Dungeon of Doom, where I can't tell you where the Dungeon of Doom is, but I have been there and I know how to get there.
Ah. Sullivan, my son. Yeah. I can hear Iakea. Yep.
Yes. And then he had some kind of a kidney issue. So he went back to, I believe, Argentina.
Yeah.
And they called me up and were like, "Hey, man, you're now the Yeti." And so I didn't have an outfit, so they wrapped me in gauze and said, "All right, now you're the Yeti." Mm-hmm. I still don't really understand how the Yeti was a mummy, but hey, who am I, right? You're just so happy to get the call at the time that you really don't care about, asking questions. So then I get down there, and then, it didn't go, it was supposed to be the Giant Ninja. Mm. And I was going to be the Giant Ninja for, I believe it was World War III, the three ring
battle royal. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they have they had the T-shirts out and everything, 3 rings, 3 giants, all this stuff, and then it never came to fruition. But I was all ready to go, and then I was in the ninja outfit. So then I got there, and they go, "All right, well, just put on the ninja outfit and go out there." And I'll never forget, like Arn Anderson comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, talk about a great salesman." He's like, "Man, you're so big and you're so awesome that." We decided that the only way that you could really do this correctly is if everyone attacks you at the beginning of the battle royal and throws you out immediately. And at the time, I did not know that. I didn't have the depth to know that they're telling me, "Hey, you really suck. We just want to get you out before you disgrace the business any more than you already have." Oh. And so they just jumped on top of me and threw me out right away. And that was it. Brian Pillman came up and turned my mask around backwards. And by the time I got the mask around forward, I was on the ground, and it was great.
You mentioned Brian Pillman. I wouldn't have thought to ask about him. What was your experience like with him? He was one of my favorites, and it seemed like he was a prankster, to say the least.
And he seemed, I was a little nervous about him because I had heard that he was a prankster, and, I didn't want to, but yeah, the best thing he ever did was turn my mask backwards, and by the time I figured out what was going on, it was over. So that was great.
Awesome. You talked a little bit about Kevin Sullivan. We mentioned the Dungeon of Doom. I got to know Kevin a little bit before he passed, and I'm sure he tamed a lot as years went on, but the sweet guy I talked to was awesome, and he talked a lot about the Dungeon of Doom and talked to me about it, saying he wanted to make it so cartoonish that they had no alternative but to approach it in a different way, a little more reality. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I don't know if maybe he thought it was good stuff, all of the cartoonish, Dungeon of Doom. But did you guys feel like it was, a little too campy when you were going into the forest and all that?
Yeah, but you never really ask any questions. Let me ask you: are you a rock guy?
I am a rock guy.
So, my thing is this, rock and roll guy, not the rock.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to be like, oh, okay. So I think that this was sort of like we were the last of the hair bands before.
Oh, you're speaking my language. Yep.
I mean, because if you look like 6 months after the Yeti, that's when the NWO came.
Right.
So much more reality based, much more, guys' names, much more just reality, like, grunge. Here it is,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big grunge guy,
like
but
the last winger guy.
maybe Winger, maybe Nelson. They were a little later in the game.
Yeah.
Firehouse was also later, but I liked Firehouse though.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the name Big Ron Studd. You adopted that name. I believe that was gifted to you from Big John Studd. For somebody like me who grew up, I'm 44. I grew up watching Big John Studd and seeing that carried a lot of clout to it, but it felt like they could have done more with it. Did you feel they could have done more with you as Big Ron Studd?
Sure, but at the time you have to remember that it was a 2-hour show, and they had the NWO, they had Goldberg, they had all this stuff on there. So, was I really going to realistically get a push? I don't think so.
Just too many guys?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably, look at Chris Jericho. He was one of the greatest guys now, and he was so low on the card back then that he, had to leave to get any traction.
I know they were short matches, but you did get to work with some legends, Macho Man Randy Savage being one of them. Chris Benoit, the name maybe I should have said name redacted. You got to work with a lot of guys that.
Wow.
You got to work with a lot of guys like that. Was it cool to be in the ring with those guys, and did you learn?
That was like my first match coming back from Japan. So after the Yeti deal, they sent me to Japan for I want to say it was like 4 or 5 months. I came back and they're like, okay, you're working with Chris Benoit tonight. I'll never forget Pee Wee Anderson. I was in the locker room. He comes and goes, hey, yeah, it's you and Benoit tonight. And have you ever taken a superplex off the top rope? And I was like, at this point, I was pretty jaded. So I was like, oh, yeah, I totally can do that move. No, whatever you want, I can do, right? So they took me in the back, and all right, that's the finish. And then I found Jody Hamilton and Dwayne Bruce Sarge and was like, what the hell is a superplex, and how do I do this?
Oh boy! Well, was it a culture shock when you did it? I mean, was that rough on your body being such a bigger guy?
Yeah, no, yeah, but there was not a lot of room up on that top rope, and they're like, you're going to get up there, and then Benoit's going to get up there. I'm like, Jiminy Christmas, this is not, that's not a lot of space.
No, it was not. And later on, you did come back. You mentioned grunge earlier on. You were part of Raven's Flock, and I've had most of those guys on.
Who's been the coolest guy from the Flock?
Honestly, Raven was the least cool. He did not want to do my interview at all. I had him on for about 10 minutes, and he just, it wasn't bad, but you could tell that he was wanting to be doing anything other than that. The coolest guy was Lodi. Lodi was the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah,
and so was Scotty Riggs. Scotty Riggs was a nice guy.
I think that Raven does that just to part of his gimmick,
He was legitimately, it was 2005, and he was at a party, and if it's a choice of talking to me or trying to get with a chick, I think I would want to get with a chick too. So I don't blame him for that. That's okay with me.
All right.
Yeah, so I wish I could get him on again. Hopefully he's doing all right because he's got some health issues that he's dealing with.
Yeah, now did you get Scotty Riggs after the intervention or before? Okay, good.
Okay, I got Scotty both. I got him once where he was in rough shape, and he had the whole voice going on where he was really rough and tumble. And then I talked to him about 5 or 6 years later and very much mellowed out. Both interviews were great, but I was very much happy to see he had mellowed out and is doing much better. And good for him. I hear he's still working behind the scenes with AEW, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, he looks great. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he is in fantastic shape. Oh, a lot of those guys, the agents that they have working for AEW, look more like stars than the guys they have in the ring.
Wow, that's crazy. If
Um,
there's ever an advertisement for clean living in the DDP yoga, it's got to be Scotty Riggs, right?
I would think so, yeah. You mentioned Ravens Flock. Their road stories tend to be crazy. Now, you came along a little later in the game. They might have been
Yeah.
tamed by management a little bit, but did you get to see any of the crazy antics on the road that the Flock got into?
You know what? By that time I got on there, they were pretty tired. They were, there was not the intensity level. The newness had worn off. How's that sound?
That's a good way of putting
yeah,
it.
there was not. Yeah, there was not the intensity level, but still, occasionally it would come out.
Now, there was a...
Remember, we were on the road every show. There was not one show that we got, or TV that we got off, and you had to be in the crowd the whole entire time. It was taxing. You had to be on the whole 3 hours and then the whole 2 hours, and you never really got a break.
Your biggest feud as part of the Flock was probably with Juventud Guerrera, and that resulted in your Great American Bash match. And I mean, I know you've said earlier on that, Paul White is the giant and all that kind of stuff, but I can't imagine him bumping the way you did in that match. You were moving around for a guy considerably smaller than you. I mean, how was that taxing on your body to keep up with somebody of Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrero's size?
It was actually sort of freeing because, I always thought that I could move a little more than I did, and it was fun to take some bumps from the guy.
Very cool. And it was only like 3 days later on Thunder that you faced Bill Goldberg. And Bill Goldberg was he was very much on the ascent to be the face of the company. It was only a month after that he beat Hulk Hogan and became that. Could you see that he was going to be there? And what did you think of working with Goldberg?
Oh, I loved it. Earlier I had worked with Bill down at the power plant. I was one of the guys so when he was coming up with a jackhammer, they brought me in and were like, hey, if you can jackhammer this guy, then you can use it as a finish because you got to be able to jackhammer like bigger guys. And I got in there and it was great. There was no problem with the jackhammer at all.
Very cool.
And then, when I wrestled him, it was great. It was a lot of fun. The best part about it is you're in the main event. I think I wrestled him like 5 or 6 times that week, and it was great. I think I'm like 130 through 135 or 140 of his wins.
That's right. Yeah, I wonder how many of those were real. That they kind of gimmicked the number a little bit along the way, but that's okay. Shortly after you left WCW, or maybe you were still under contract, you took part in Shadow Warriors, which was one of Hulk Hogan's movies. I think you were in the second one.
Academy Award winning.
Actually, the funny thing was, for a long time, it had actually held an award or a record for the most watched made-for-TV movie ever. So it actually held that number for, I think, like 10 years, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
What was it like doing the Hollywood thing and making a movie? I know you were a small part of it, but you were in that movie with Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah. Well, so, everyone talks about a movie with Hulk Hogan, but I was in a movie with Apollo Creed was in there.
Yep. Carl Weathers, right.
And Carl Weathers, yeah. And then the evil sensei from Karate Kid was in there.
Yep. And his name is escaping me. John Kreese was his name, but on the show, in the movies. But there you go.
I like see him around crafts and services. I'm like, man, why did you, couldn't you be nice? He's like, oh, sweep the leg, Johnny, sweep the leg. I'm like, all right.
I always wonder how many.
Fun. I mean,
I was gonna say, I wonder how many people always walk up to him and try to honk his nose, like in the second movie. But I wouldn't recommend it.
It was good though. No, he was a pretty tough guy. I mean, he had a pretty good run there.
He did. Had the reunion show that they did, Cobra Kai, that one of the best written things that they've put on in years. So, I mean, there's been... he's had a good career, that's for sure. And he's still making movies out there, too.
Yeah, he's doing well. And then Carl Weathers was really cool because I was a Rocky fan. That was before Billy Madison and all that. Not Billy Madison, but...
Happy Gilmore? Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, yeah.
It's all in the
for me to
hips.
forget that movie when I've seen it like 1,000 times, right?
Yep, it's all in the hips. That was his.
Yes.
That was his big name in that one. It's kind of stupid that that's what my kids know best. They know it's all in the hips more than ain't gonna be no rematch. That's just not right. But what can you do?
Not really.
So then, it seemed like you said about 2000 was the time you got out of the business. You did make a couple of other appearances. Vince Russo's Ring of Glory. You played the role of Evil.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, like most people, I did not see that, not for lack of trying. But what was the experience like working with that? And did you hope that might lead to more stuff in wrestling, or was it kind of just a one-time thing that you were looking at it as?
Well, I think that you skimmed over. I worked for Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling for a
With
while,
Dusty Rhodes, that's right.
With Dusty Rhodes, yeah. So that was definitely really cool.
That was great stuff.
And hang out with Dusty.
And you were tag team partners with Glacier as well.
Yes, I carried him. Tell him I carried him, please.
Ray Lloyd, very nice guy. Yeah. I did have him on. It's been a long time.
Guy. He
yeah,
just got married.
Did he? Excellent.
Yes.
Every now and again he'll pop up because he's with Cody every now and again, and he looks fantastic. He looks like he could still get in there if he wanted to.
I think he might do an independent show every blue moon.
Very cool. Ring of Glory, did you enjoy doing that, or did you hope that was going to turn into anything?
You know, I think I was like a late fill-in for that, and so I just... They called me like the week of and were like, hey, can you come up and do it? And I did it. And everyone was talking that this was going to be the beginning of something great. And I was hoping you never know with this stuff. And just never really, I guess it did not go anywhere.
Yeah, no, it did not. It did not. He ended up putting all his eggs in the TNA basket shortly thereafter, which he was mostly in and out of for years, up until probably about 10 years ago. You mentioned Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. That was great stuff. Yourself was there. Like I mentioned, Glacier, Crowbar, and Daphne had chances in there as well. I know that there was a lot of great people involved in that. What did you think of working with Dusty Rhodes, and what was he like to work under?
Dusty was great. He always had really good shows. Everything was planned out. Pretty good. Yeah, our main problem was that we would put on a really good show, and then someone else would come into town 2 weeks later and undercut the show for the price and not have the quality we had, so it sort of diluted the wrestling business at the time.
So that kind of stuff was going on even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's happening now, too.
It's hard to run shows.
It is. And they tried to bring it back. They tried to bring back Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling with Cody's sister was actually running it, and I think they just changed the name, but I guess they couldn't keep up with it. But that's pretty cool that it had the history going back 20 plus years.
I think that the new reincarnation of Turnbuckle is they're trying to use it as a finishing for like a school, which is probably the best way to do it.
I would say so. I know that his name is escaping me. Oh gosh. The guy DDP gave the diamond cutter to.
Marshall.
That's the one, QT Marshall or Marshall, however he wants it said. Yeah, he was. I know he was a big part of that as well, the rebirth of Turnbuckle.
Yeah. I think he just got so busy that he couldn't, got involved with other things.
That's right, yeah.
I think he's like one of the top bookers with AEW, or...
Yeah, he's one of the top agents there. He had a spell where he was out. He left, and I think that's when Turnbuckle started to bubble because he had more time on his hands. But then he went back. Yeah. So for a big guy like you would have thought that Vince McMahon would have loved the idea of getting a hold of you.
Yes, I would have loved for him to love the idea.
You never did go to WWE. Was there ever talk of it, and did you ever communicate with them?
So I did. I was communicated with them when I got released in 2000. Everything was like really good. There was a lot of interest. There was talk that I was going to be the bodyguard for Edge and Christian.
Wow!
And I went up and did like a tryout with them, and everything was great. And then they just lost interest, and it was like the next day. I mean, just the calls weren't returned as quickly, and there just wasn't. You could tell that they were moving on with somebody else. I believe that they brought in Tomko or something.
Tyson Tomko, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a business down in Florida
guess,
now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they wanted to stay with another Canadian. God bless them. And it just at that point they were like, hey, we have you can go to Ohio Valley to train, and I was like, you know what? I'm 32 years old. I've been, I'm not gonna. It's just too much to start back at zero.
There you go.
So I just got a job in the wine industry.
That's what I was going to ask you. What did you do? What was your life after the crazy world of traveling in the wrestling industry?
I've been in the wine industry now for 25 years.
That's amazing. Anything? That's awesome. And I was talking to your son to help set this up, so obviously the family life was good too. And I guess getting out of wrestling probably helped that along as well, I'd imagine.
Yes, a lot more time at home instead of gone every weekend or gone every all the time. So
very good. And when I contacted, I hope I'm not telling too much about your personal life here, but when I contacted the folks for the charity that you were involved with, they mentioned that you had recently moved. I guess my question would be, what are you up to these days? And is that did you move far, or are you still close to where you home base has been for a while?
Well, so for the last 15 years, I've been the treasurer for the Cumming Forsyth County Miracle League, which is a special needs softball league in Forsyth County, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Which has been great charity, great event. We had 150 kids, played 2 seasons a year, and got out there and had a lot of fun. Recently, my son got married and moved to Charlotte area, and pretty much just told my wife and I that he's not coming back to Georgia. That if we want to be part of the deal, we got to come up here. So my wife literally told me hey, I'm moving to Georgia. If you want to come on, come on. So I changed jobs to come up to the Charlotte area, and we're in Indian Trail right now, and everything's great.
That's awesome. I'm glad everything worked out well for you.
If anybody wants to buy a house in Forsyth County, Georgia, I got a beautiful house for sale, and I'll give you a great deal on it.
Very cool. And you could say the Yeti lived there, which would be an extra bonus as well. Man, I got to tell you.
I will even tell you where the Dungeon of Doom is if you buy my house.
See, how that's a bonus. If you could find out where that is, that would be amazing. I got to tell you, there's some guys I talk to that I've heard people say, oh, well, maybe they needed to be meaner or rougher. I think that might be the case with you. You're just such an easygoing guy. Maybe you needed to be angrier and meaner and more of a jerk because you had a great career as it was.
I think I've mellowed in the years. How's that? I used to be pretty uptight, but now it's just, hey, I'm figuring out that what's going to happen is going to happen, right?
Very cool. And are you currently doing anything like the signings or the circuit like that?
Oh, yes. So I got to tell you some great stuff I got going on. Hold on.
I would love to hear about that.
This weekend I have the 29th, I have the Gathering.
Okay. That's a big one.
I'm very excited to do the Gathering. I believe it's going to be a flock reunion.
Amazing.
I think that they got most of the people there.
Let's see here. So who's available? I guess Sick Boy is the only one I don't know that I've heard from in a while, or seen in a while.
Sick Boy, I believe, is going to be there.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And Riggs is going to be there. Lodi's going to be there. I believe that Raven's going to be there.
And Saturn's an enigma, but he's been around more than usual of late, so maybe
he's good stuff though, man. He's one of the best ones.
He's a nice dude. I will tell you a little story. I got a call once from Terry Reynolds, and she's like, "Could you help me find Saturn? He's missing." And I was like, he's what? He's missing. And I traced him down to a door manufacturing company in Minnesota, and that led me to contacting Sonny Ono, and it was a whole big thing. This was probably 2010, 2011, and we found him. It took some time, but we traced him down, just like I traced you down, but you're not as hard to find as Perry Saturn was. So But yeah, no, he was a hard guy to find, and like I said, he's a little bit of an enigma. But
he's always been a little odd, but he's a great guy. We had a match, and all he wanted to do the whole entire time was like, "Hey, I'll do whatever you want, but you have to press slam me from your knees."
Press slam me from my knees.
Yeah, he thought that was so great. That would be like a normal slam, me press slamming him while I was on my knees. And he thought that was the funniest thing ever. And he went around and told everyone, "Gotta watch our match. I got the best spot coming up. It's going to be so great." And everyone was like, "Okay." And it was not as great as he thought it was, but hey.
whatever.
He was at Killer
excites him.
Kowalski's with me when I started.
All the way back then. Wow.
Yeah.
I got to pick.
Paul Levesque was there.
Wow. Triple H was there when you started. Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, and John Cronus.
John Cronus, unfortunately, I have a story about him as well. When he passed away, I wrote up a nice piece about him, and I got a contact from, I want to say it was his sister, and she said, "I just wanted to thank you. You're the only one who took the time to write up a nice memorial." I'm like, well, if that's true, I'm sorry, because he deserved better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a good dude. A little odd. Another one that was a little odd though.
An athlete.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, most people couldn't do what he did. much smaller people couldn't do what he did as well. He was a big guy.
He was doing those kicks and all that crazy stuff way before it became cool.
Seeing where you mentioned Paul Levesque, seeing where he is now, basically the new Vince McMahon, the guy in charge of the industry, are you surprised to see that he's advanced the way he has?
No, I think he was a really smart guy, but I really need to tell you this. I need to take all the credit for everything that's ever happened in his life, because my first match with Big John Studd, Pat Patterson and all those guys came down to watch the match, and when they were there, they discovered Paul Levesque. So if it wasn't for me, Paul Levesque would be nobody.
Maybe he needs to remember that now and bring you guys in, bring Raven's Flock in for a Hall of Fame induction and get you a payday.
Well, you know, what's funny is I didn't even know that, and then I heard it on a podcast that he was like, yeah, you know, they came to see Ron Reese, and, you know, they said, like, hey, you know, you're not too bad. You might think about doing this full time. And then that's when he got the onus to go down to WCW.
Wow, yep, and it's terrorizing, and then later one of the Blue Bloods, and yeah, he had a heck of a run. You mentioned Killer Kowalski, but if we were doing a video podcast, you could see on the wall behind me, I actually have a autographed picture of Killer Kowalski.
Oh, really?
One of the cool things I got on there. What was it like learning under a grizzled veteran like himself?
It was good. It just, the ring was a little rough. It was an old boxing ring, so you really could not take any bumps.
Oh, man.
And then the funny thing is, you would see like the guys on WCW, WWE taking all these crazy bumps. You're like, man, how do they do that? Because you're showing it off how hard the ring was at Killer Kowalski's. But then when you get down there and you find out that thing's got a couple extra pads in there, you're like, wow, here's the secret, right?
There's the secret, right? You mentioned it earlier on about the getup of the Yeti, and I meant to ask you this then, and I'll ask you now. Could you have worked a match with the original Yeti getup on, or would it have kind of unraveled on you?
You know what? That is a question that is going to bother the wrestling gods for the rest of the year, the rest of the time.
I've wondered that. Even as a kid watching, I'm like, I wonder if he could work, because, like you said, Giant Gonzalez, after a time, the fur on his costume wore off, and it became a little less and less comfortable to watch his matches because there was less and less coverage, if you will. But all right, well, I want to.
One last thing I need to pump up here.
Sure.
Unbreakable Bunch, the movie. This is one of the greatest movies of all time. I am the star of it. In this movie, I beat up Stan Hansen. I beat up Haku. I beat up Ray Lloyd, and I beat up Ernest Miller right in the middle of this movie. And that alone should make you want to go ahead and watch it. You can get it on YouTube, and Everyone's talking about Haku is one of the toughest guys ever, but I knock him out right in the middle of the movie, and that is the highlight of the movie.
Really? So it's called The Unbreakable Bunch.
Yes, if Larry Zbyszko's in it.
When was this movie done?
Lloyd is in it. 2023.
Really? Okay, so it's recent.
It's Academy Award winning.
I'm going to actually have to go and seek this out and find that, because that sounds like it's going to be a good watch. And, man, like I told you.
Let me tell you, this thing is awesome.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. And it's available. You can watch it right now on YouTube?
Yeah, I believe, yes. YouTube is right there. The trailer's on there. And then I believe that you can watch it on there.
Beautiful, man.
If not, it's on some streaming platform.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this with me. Like I said, you're a really nice guy. That's all I got for you. What else would you like me to ask you? I asked you earlier. Well, let's see. I mentioned earlier Macho Man. You worked with Macho Man Randy Savage. He was my 8th interview, and I was 21 years old, and I jumped up and down like a kid on Christmas when he agreed to do it. And it was a fantastic interview, and I got to do it a couple more times before he passed, but I know the match wasn't terribly long, but what was it like getting in the ring with a legend like the Macho Man?
It's right there. He's such a legend. It was great. He was so excited that he wanted to slam me, and I'm like, look, man, you're the Macho Man. You can do whatever you want. You know?
And then
whatever you want.
I do remember that when you were coming out to the ring once, I believe the Outsiders approached you. You were big Ron Stud at the time, and
yeah.
I mean, what was that experience like with Hall and Nash on TV?
That was like at the beginning too, where like they were just showed up out of nowhere. You never knew really what was going on. Remember the black limo too? That
yeah.
If it's a white limo, it's not the NWO, but if it's a black limo, it's the NWO. How crazy! I mean, I think wrestling is definitely bigger now, but just the steps forward that the NWO took from wrestling was let's say a 5 or 6, and all of a sudden it went to 10. Just how crazy it got overnight.
And it's not just that, but it was also the location. Like, I grew up in New Jersey, just outside of New York City, and
right.
when I went to one of the WWE shows or WWF shows in '96. There were people showing up in NWO shirts and chanting NWO, knowing full well they're not there. They don't work for this company,
right.
But they just were kind of almost dogging WWE with how big that faction got. But
you thought that maybe they were WWE guys, right? Still,
Well, that's what they got sued over for implying that they were an invasion of WWE, but definitely came off as real. Vice TV did a TV series called Who Killed WCW? I guess that's the question.
I think everyone killed it, right?
That was my question for you. Who do you think holds the responsibility for that?
You know what? I just think it got so big that it was hard to gauge, right? I think another thing, too, is that they really got away. I think the NWO got so cool and so big that they really got away from the wrestling and got more to the interviews and the skits and got away from the actual wrestling. Another thing, too, that I think is a lot of people, there was so much wrestling on TV at that time that it just diluted the product. When you had 3 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Thursday, a pay-per-view, it's just like, man,
and there was still, and for that time, there was still Saturday night for 2 hours on Saturday,
yes.
And there was the worldwide show that was out there, and maybe Pro. So, I mean, I remember David Letterman at this time saying, what I do is I go home and I turn on TBS and I watch wrestling all weekend. It's always on there. Yeah. And I mean, that was and he wasn't wrong. Yeah, it was always on there. All right.
The amount of wrestling. So who was your favorite interview of all your interviews?
Who was my favorite interview of all my interviews? That's a great one. I get off on the weird ones, but I gotta say, just because I was a kid, 21, so I wasn't really a kid, but sort of a kid, Macho was the one, and then I asked him a question, and he goes, "Ooh, you really know the business." And that, blew my mind. It's like, that's such a compliment. Hulk Hogan was a big one.
Especially
because
back then, right? When, like, 20 years ago, when it wasn't so, the business was everywhere. Like, I was somewhere the other day and the guy goes, "Oh, you're such a heel." And I was like, "Oh, you never would have said that back in the day, right?"
he would have just said bad guy, or
you're like, "Oh, you're healing on him." I'm like, "Whoa, who taught you that?" You know?
Did he mean it in the wrestling sense, or was it just
No, he just was like, hanging out, like, "Oh, that guy's such a heel." And I'm like, "Wow, that's really, I guess, it's a common term now." So I'm like, "Wow, okay."
The vernacular has really just etched its way into almost everyday speak. Even my son, who's 16, will be talking about something and he'll throw out a wrestling term, and I'll be like, I'll take a step back for a second. Now, he's a wrestling fan, so it makes sense that he would know it, but I'll still take a step back and be like, whoa, that's not really like something that you would have expected a 16-year-old to say. But
like, "Hey, Dad, kayfabe of the gimmick," you know? You're like, "Wow, what does that mean?"
Very cool. Well, like I said, I do want to thank you for taking the time and doing this.
Now, let me ask you another question. If Macho Man's your number one, who was your worst one?
Okay, my worst one, it's tied for two. Do you remember Johnny Valiant?
Yes.
Johnny Valiant was around in the 80s, luscious Johnny V, if you will.
Yeah.
He was another one.
He was a manager, right?
Yeah, he was a manager. He was still wrestling at the time, and at the time he was 70s maybe, so he wasn't very physically active, but his finisher would be that he'd pull out a gold card and hit the guy with a gold card in the throat or something to win the match, but whatever works. But he didn't want to be there, and I don't think he wanted to open up that much, so that was a bad one. And then the ring announcer for AEW currently is Justin Roberts, and he just didn't want to give me nothing. Now, that said, I've done 900s of these, and most of the time they open up.
I was going to say 900, wow.
Yeah, I think you're 904, so...
I think with some, like, the older guys, it's got to be, like, difficult, like, with the opening of the business, like, feeling comfortable talking to people about, like, with all the stuff that's happened.
Yeah, it's interesting because I started in 2002. My first really long one was Larry Zbyszko, and he was like as open and cool as you could be. Like, there was no problem there with him at all.
If you like Larry Zbyszko, you can come and see him in the Unbreakable Bunch.
There you go, the Unbreakable Bunch on YouTube. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, he was good. Harley Race.
For a shameless plug.
Oh, you've been doing DDP yoga because you've been learning from DDP how to self-promote. I love DDP.
I actually did his workout today, and I gotta admit, page is page, but that DDP yoga thing is awesome. I go on there, and I don't always do a yoga class by him, but he has a library of classes in there that you can sort of like punch in, like I want to do a 30-minute hip workout with like a level 3 intensity, and he gives you like 5 options, and it's great.
That's awesome. And I love DDP. He always was nice to me.
Yeah.
I mean, was he always good to you?
Everybody. Yeah, he's done a lot for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, what he's done for Lex Luger. I mean, look at him. He got him back on his feet. Yeah. I mean, that's modern science couldn't do that, but DDP managed to get him on his feet. That's amazing. Was there any...
I'm one of those guys. I'm trying to work on the scar tissue in my hips and all that stuff.
How are you moving around these days?
I got a knee replacement about a year ago, so I'm moving better than I was. Maybe not ready for prime time, but I'm moving good. I have my days. How's that sound?
That sounds good. And you mentioned your charity, I don't want to call it charity work, but the things that you did with the softball when you were in Georgia. Is that something you're hoping to pick up and maybe bring to the North Carolina area?
So, they have leagues all across the country, Miracle League, and I'm hoping to find one up here. I've only been up here about 3 months now, so still sort of new to everything going on. I started a new job up here, too, so I've sort of been a little overwhelmed with that. But, yes, I'm going to try and find out some outlets.
Very cool. Is it still in the wine industry, or is it a completely new job for
Still in
you?
the wine industry, yes, sir. I'm working for Patco Brands, so make sure that you get out and drink your big sips, and you get out and drink your Rancho La Gloria.
That sounds great. All right, and do you have anything on social media where people can connect with you?
No, but make sure. Now, I'm only giving you a hard time because my buddy Stephen Luther Wilson, is the director of the Unbreakable Bunch, and he told me that I need to at least get in 4 to 5 shameless plugs of the Unbreakable Bunch, and make sure that you guys get to see it. It's one of the. You'll be in awe when this movie's over.
Yep, that's of course the Academy Award winning.
I watched it with my son and his wife, and they were speechless when the movie ended.
Very cool. Very cool. That is awesome. And like I said, you did not Suburban Commando. What was it called? Shadow Warriors. There we go. We did Shadow Warriors back in the day.
One of the top movies of all time in Hulk Hogan's repertoire.
There you go. So you're a legitimate movie star. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, this will be probably my last question, but we mentioned Hulk a lot, and I'm a huge Hogan fan. He was one of my favorites as a kid, and losing him 3 months ago now, 3 months actually, over 3 months ago, was really rough for a lot of kids that grew up watching him. You got to work with him. I know the opinions range back and forth from those guys who were in WCW with him, but what was your thoughts on the passing of the Hulkster?
Well, you don't like to see anybody pass away. He was always really nice to me. I think that he brought the business out of the shadows into the forefront, and he will always be the Hulkster, right?
There you go. And you'll always have the Halloween Havoc hump together. So
yes, I'll always throw a, listen here, brother.
There you go. Man, I got to tell you, you are easy to talk to. There's a lot of times that I talk to people and I'm nervous, but you eased me in really well. And usually the guests don't ask me questions, so I appreciate that. That was awesome.
I mean, I want to, 900 interviews, that's a number.
That is, and nobody's beaten me up yet. I was yelled at by Vader, and I was threatened by
really?
New Jack. But other than that, nobody else has yelled at me. So.
They're working the gimmicks, right?
Well, no, Vader, I promised him 30 minutes. We went 36, and apparently that 6 minutes was very important to him. So, so I heard about that later on, but then he calmed down. But that was
good.
Yeah, I ended up in good place with him before we lost him. So that's the important thing.
That was a big man.
Yes, and he could move too. Yes. Man, I got to thank you again. You're an awesome guy, and be sure and tell your son I really appreciate him reaching out and helping me out.
I'll send you my address for my 2 T-shirts.
2 T-shirts. I will do 2 T-shirts for you. What size, by the way? That's something I never asked you.
3 extra large for myself, and then large for my son.
We will do that. All right, man. I thank you so much for doing this with me, and keep in contact. And the Unbreakable Bunch, YouTube. Remember to watch.
Yes, it's awesome.
All right, man. I thank you so much.
Thank you
take care.
Later.
All right. Talk to you later.
Have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, Rush.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze Rock.
You a maniac, so what you gonna do when the Blaze of Mania runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey guys,
We had a lovely conversation.
first lady.
Absolutely.
Oh, look at me. She's so kooky.
Be there.
Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling.
Epicenter.
Oh my God, you win! Love being interactive.
I was not shooting. Yeah, I almost pissed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. We're here. We'll go. Excuse my language. You're going to go to the shop. You know, into the many.
No nerves.
That was great. It's going to be cool. What it's all about. The purest point of the living legend. Roger Rowan. Arrogant.
You just make me
Instead of statement, I'm talking to you. Charisma.
so lonely without you.
In the land of extreme.
Testify. Nevermore. Interactive. Interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive. Interview with a plastic
You
head.
earn the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional
Made
wrestling.
in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling. The guy on fire.
I'm not
Interactive
We were sexy.
What a show.
One and only.
Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge with this whole. You're where it's at. You gotta recognize who's the best. If you're smart, make sure to tune in each and every week. I'll come out of your computer, knock down your door, and turn it on for you. Or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line.
Have a nice day.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.